So as you guys probably don't know, I've been a huge fan of Pokemon since 2013, and even though I'm terrible at the games, I actually struggled at Pokemon X, I feel like I've gotten better at the games recently. Like for example, I beat Heart Gold recently, which that isn't one of the hardest games, but it's definitely harder than all of 6th Gen. I want to beat Platinum without cheating soon since that's one of the hardest Pokemon games. Since this video is about Sword and Shield, which I hate, the one reason I can give it props to is its difficulty. The games are the hardest games, for me at least, since 5th Gen. I'm not saying that the games are hard, I'm just saying that the games are harder than 6th and 7th Gen. That and another thing are the only pros I have for Sword and Shield. The other thing is that the new Pokemon that were introduced in the game, like for example, I think Thievul is really cool, and I also like how they gave Farfetch'd an evolution, that being Sirfetch'd. And speaking of Sirfetch'd, I think he has a cool design, like most of the Pokemon they introduced in Sword and Shield. Now is the time you've all been waiting for the reason why I hate Sword and Shield, and I think that they're the weakest titles in the entire Pokemon series. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is the linearity. These games without a doubt are the most linear games in the franchise. Like, just look at the Galar region, it's literally a corridor. That just shows how linear the games are. These games have little to no replayability because of how linear the games are. These games barely give player choice. For example, in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, after you get to Ecruteak City, the games open up and allow the player to pretty much go anywhere they want. You can challenge Price, which is the 7th gym leader, before even going left to where the 5th and 6th gym leaders are. The only problems this causes is that you can become overleveled for a short amount of time until you get to Blackthorn. While on the other hand, the Galar region has none of this. For example, when you get to Stone One Side, there's a path to Glibwood Tangle, but you can't go through it since it's blocked off, and the only way of passing it is beating the 4th gym, which is the only notable thing to do there. If there were player freedom, the game would have let me go to Glibwood Tangle and go to Bologna and beat the 5th gym before the 4th. This one example alone just shows how linear the games are, just like the region itself. After talking about all this linearity, let's go on to the next subject, which is the story. If the story in the game was good, the linearity wouldn't be as much of a problem as it is. But the story is garbage, just like in most Pokemon games. The only notable things that happen in the stories are Bede and Hop character arcs. And either way, they're both terrible rivals, and since the story involves the rivals, let's talk about them. Firstly, you meet Bede in a cave, if I remember correctly, and he battles you because he's butthurt. Even though he has a character arc, that doesn't explain why he even exists. The story wouldn't change that dramatically without him. And Hop, on the other hand, he's pretty much a slightly better Hau. They even have the same animation for frick's sake. But the only reason that he's better than Hau is his mediocre story arc. He's pretty much like Brennan and May in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. He's forgettable. I'm not even going to talk about the rest of the characters, mainly because I'll be saying the same things about all of them, which is, they're all mediocre. Before I end off talking about the story, let's talk about how terrible Team Yellow is. They're pretty much a worse Team Skull, where they really aren't the main team and they don't really have evil motivations. From what I know, the only reason Team Yellow exists is to cheer on Marnie, which is one of the highest ranking members of Team Yellow. I'm not going to continue with talking about Team Yellow since I don't really know about them. Also, these games are bad since they pretty much have no main team. I think there's one, but it appears so late in the game it doesn't even matter. Now, let's move on from the story and talk about the availability of the game. The lead developer of Pokemon, which I actually forgot the name of and can't find the name of, says that he wants Pokemon to be accessible to everyone, which I 100% agree with. But the problem is how he handles it. He makes the game hold your hand for most of the story and makes it very linear, like I said before. But most of the Pokemon games before all the hand-holding were accessible to everyone. And making a game like this just insults the intelligence of children. It treats them like they're dumb and don't know what to do when the game opens up. So that's why he made the games like this. Also, one thing I want to mention before ending this is the experience share. We should be able to shut it off, but we can't. That pretty much eliminates grinding from the game, which is what makes Pokemon Pokemon. Also, the wild encounters are pretty much gone. I didn't have a problem with this in the Let's Go games because there were spin-offs, but in the main game, like, come on, it takes away the annoyingness of going to grass or caves or surfing. Like I said before, that is what makes Pokemon Pokemon. It makes the experience less fun and makes it boring. I have countless more problems with Sword and Shield, but if I put all of them into this video, it would be an hour long, so I'm just going to end it off here. Leave your opinions in the comments section, follow all my social medias if you want, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. This is why I hate Pokemon Sword and Shield.